Topping today's news, a 9-year-old is the country's first victim of the dengue fever outbreak. Police still looking into the circumstances surrounding the death of a father and son on early Tuesday. BPL Workers Union receives its strike certificate threatening industrial action, and the First Lady from Botswana impressed with her visit to the Nassau cruise port. Good evening, Bahamas. I'm Jcn Saunders. This is your JCN Evening News. It is a pleasure to have you join us. A 9-year-old boy lost his battle with dengue fever, the viral illness that has been a cause for concern in many parts of the world. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Pearl McMillan, in the latest update regarding the outbreak here in the Bahamas, shared more details on the dengue fever-related death.
Certainly, the ministry would have been notified of this death. And the history behind it is, as I have said, it's a 9-year-old child who would have sought care and didn't complete the care, and unfortunately did not do well. The specifics of, when and how those things are not, that's not information that we will provide out. They would have sought care and they did not complete. I guess it could have been that they did not come back to the facility, or they didn't take the meds or whatever, but I'm saying to you, that is what we would have been provided with. This is reported into the ministry as a death that would have been dengue-related death, a 9-year-old child.
Dr. McMillan emphasized the child and parent did not continue with care provided. Meantime, dengue cases in country now standing at 100 according to officials at the Ministry of Health. Now, as it relates to the exact breakdown of cases, particularly those that require hospitalization, Managing Director of the Public Hospitals Authority, Dr. Robinette Roll, gives a detailed breakdown of cases seen so far at the Princess Margaret Hospital.
At the Princess Margaret Hospital, we can say that we have had 19 persons who would have been admitted as inpatients as a result of testing positive for dengue. We're happy to also confirm that 14 of them have been discharged, and we have the remaining 5 patients there. Also at the Rand Memorial Hospital, we would have tested 10 persons who had symptomatology related to dengue. Out of the 10, 6 were positive. We did have 1 admission, but to date now, on today, there are no patients hospitalized. So presently we have 5 in the hospital in New Providence and 0 patients at the Rand Memorial Hospital. And I think a lot of that is attributed to as well, in terms of persons going and visiting the various clinics to have the assessments done so that we are not lagging behind. We can confirm that we have several tests that are pending results, and once we get those confirmed, we will be able to advise at a later date. But that is our position now at both hospitals.
That was Managing Director of the Public Hospitals Authority, Dr. Robinette Roll. In news from the crime front, police are investigating a stabbing incident that has left a 16-year-old male student in hospital nursing injuries. Based on preliminary police reports, sometime around 4:19 on Monday, the victim was involved in a physical altercation with another male student in the area of a bus stop on Marathon Road, while another male intervened and produced a knife, stabbing the victim to the leg and lower back. The 16-year-old was transported to hospital via a private vehicle, where at last report he is listed in stable condition. Police officers have been taking steps to discourage students from nearby schools hanging in and around the mall area. A post-mortem examination will be carried out, as well as a toxicology exam of the man and male toddler that died under bizarre circumstances early Tuesday morning. Police have identified the victim as a father and son, 42-year-old taxi driver Jermaine Miller, and his nearly 2-year-old son Anwar Miller. On Tuesday afternoon, officer in charge of the Criminal Investigations Department, Chief Superintendent Michael Johnson, during a press conference, shared more light as to what happened in this incident.
Sometime shortly after 1 a.m. this morning, The police were alerted to a disturbance in the area of Family Street. That's off Soldier Road. On their arrival, they met a male who gave them some information and told them that he was being attacked by his landlord. When the officers went to the area that he directed them to, they met a male on the inside of his apartment. As they was about to confront him, he barricaded himself into a bedroom. As they were about to reach that bedroom, they heard glass being broken on the outside. When they went on the outside of the apartment building, they met this male jumping through a window.
It was the man's attempt to evade police. However, a chase ensued and the suspect jumped a fence a short distance from the residence, but was found in a nearby garbage bin and subsequently arrested by police. As for the toddler, officers conducted a search of the apartment and discovered the child lying on his back. Chief Superintendent Johnson explains more.
He appeared to be unresponsive. They attempted CPR, but however, they waited on EMS personnel to come to the aid of that child. They took that child inside of the ambulance where they were trying to resuscitate him. He was eventually taken from that scene and he was brought in dead. The male, who was restrained by the officers, EMS personnel also checked him and he had no signs of life.
Police did not reveal the mental state of the man nor give an account as to what caused his or the child's death. Officers, however, confirmed that the infant did have some discoloration of the skin. The mother of the child was contacted and is currently assisting police with their investigations. Meantime, President of the Bahamas Christian Council, Bishop Delton Fernandez, who was also at the police press briefing, encouraging members of the public who may have family members that are displaying erratic behavior to not be shy about contacting the church.
We are appealing to the public at large to do your very best to intervene when it appears that those around you are not acting in the fashions that are normal. It's now time for us to intervene and not sit back. If you see something, do something. And if you see erratic behavior, if you see somebody that is not in the normal scheme of things, if you need counseling, if you need an opportunity to break away, if you are asking for the church, take them to church. If you're asking for an opportunity to pray, take them to your pastor to pray. We are making ourselves available as we did before. With the tensions that are arising, we're going to work again to open up the hotline.
That was President of the Bahamas Christian Council, Bishop Delton Fernandez. The Bahamas Electrical Workers Union, BEWU, has received their official strike certificate from the Ministry of Labor and is now in a position to take industrial action following concerns that are not being addressed by the Bahamas Power and Light Company, BPL. The strike poll took place on September 1st, and out of 579 members, 406 took part in the poll, with 385 people voting in favor of industrial action, 20 people voting no. Union members also voted on other issues, with 387 people voting in favor of a fixed monthly hazardous pay and 19 people voting no. Again, 387 people voted yes to increments pursuant to the industrial agreement and 17 people voting no. On July 21st, the Electrical Workers Union held a press conference demanding that a plethora of issues be fixed, including payment of increments, hazard pay, proper facilities, and much-needed equipment for workers. Union President Carl Wilson gave BPL's leadership 30 days to fix the concerns, which he says they did not. On July 24th, BPL executives released a memo of their own to employees asserting that they continue to work in good faith and have not breached any terms of agreement with the union. However, the union president rejected this and pleaded with BPL executives to stop ignoring workers and work in the best interest of the Bahamian people. Now, with a strike certificate in hand, the union president has advised residents and the media to stay tuned. Minister of Tourism, Investments and Aviation, Deputy Prime Minister Chester Cooper, again applauding the growth in stopover visitors to the Bahamas. Additionally, he says billions of dollars in tourism investments are in the pipeline for all islands. The Deputy Prime Minister, on a local daily talk show earlier this week, said up to 3,000 jobs will be created from these projects.
We are seeing the coming of the Hilton later this year. That will be positive for room capacity. We see in the pipeline, Melia going to be announcing some significant additions to overall rooms. We have about $6 billion generally, $7 billion of new investments in the pipeline. Maybe $6 billion is related to tourism. It's in the pipeline, but some of it is already coming out of the pipeline. We have Hog Key in the Exomas, for example, which is about a $300 million investment. We see the construction levels there are really ramping up. And we also see Montage Key in Abacos. Construction is well underway. So I'm positive about what I'm seeing generally in terms of what we will be able to offer in future years. So we believe we can increase the overall percentage of stopovers within the next few years.
DPM Cooper confirming that $6 billion of new investments are currently approved in the tourism sector, listing some of those projects.
And I will give you an example. In the Exomas, it's roughly $1.5 billion. We have Elizabeth Island. The construction is underway, early stages, but underway nonetheless. We have Hog Key, as I mentioned before. Construction there is booming. We have Cave Key, all of approvals received, and we anticipate construction to begin there. And we have a project in Samson Key where some renovations have started. We have two other small projects in Samson Key, and they have not yet started. So they are in varying stages. But construction work has begun in many of these projects already.
Mr. Cooper says they are currently working with the Tourism Investment Authority and multi-agency groups to help facilitate the other projects. Given the numerous projects planned, Mr. Cooper asserts that room capacity must and will be increased.
I think we will increase overall room capacity in the next 3 years by perhaps 30, maybe 40%. I don't have those numbers in front of me, but I think it will be fairly dramatic if we are able to quickly get these projects going. In South Eleuthera, for example, we have the Ritz that's making fairly significant progress. Cotton Bay, there's talks there as well of steady progress. In South Abaco, there are two very large projects in the $800 million range. So I expect if we are able to really get these projects going quickly in the next 3 to 5 years, I would say, that we'll be able to dramatically increase room capacity by, say, 30-40%.
While the tourism minister is convinced the fastest way to grow the economy is through foreign direct investment, he says it is his hope to see greater Bahamian investments into the Bahamian economy. And finally, in this segment, the spouse of the president of Botswana, Mrs. Neo Jane Masisi, took part in an official state visit to the Nassau cruise port this morning, where she was greeted by Minister of State for Housing and Urban Renewal, Lisa Ramming, and President of the Nassau cruise port, Mr. Mike Mora. During her tour of the facility, First Lady Masisi visited some of the authentic Bahamian vendors as well as the Junkanoo Museum. She expressed her appreciation for the warm welcome.
Thank you very much, Minister, and let me thank everybody who's here for such a warm welcome. And thanks for taking me to this beautiful place, the Nassau Cruise Port. I was very impressed by the local vendors, the fact that it's work done by real people, real women, our women. It makes me think of our own women back home. I'm taking back so many ideas from this short experience. And like she said, my idea is let's make the story wider. I see the lovely wares, high quality wares, and I take it that they're high demand. But I'd love to hear the real stories behind the wares.
Minister of State Raming presented First Lady Masisi with a straw bag and portfolio handmade by inmates at the Bahamas Department of Corrections.
We had the opportunity to walk through the Nassau Cruise Port, and we wanted to show her everything that is authentic Bahamian. And she was so excited. We went to a number of vendors where she was able to see handcraft bags. We had bee syrup. We had jams, everything. And the First Lady was extremely excited to see the handcraft events. She even gave some recommendations of how the vendors could even add more economic boosts to their vendoring machines. And so we're so happy to have her here today. And so we just want her to experience the local side of us rather than everything just being state.
Adding his sentiments was Cruise Port President Mike Mora.
One, I was so impressed, and there was the First Lady of Botswana, Her Excellency, and she holding hands with the vendors and learning about the craft and how many generations is this that they have been doing this, and where did they learn it from, and oh, it was your grandmother or it was your great-grandmother. I mean, she was dialed right in on the culture. And she was really, wanting to take in more. She was offering insights into her personal experience back home. And also saying that, while we're a small country of 400,000, she is clearly, picking those elements of our culture and our heritage that she can take back with her and perhaps plant a few seeds in Botswana to see how it grows there.
First Lady Masisi was expected to conclude her day with an official visit to the children's ward at the Princess Margaret Hospital. We'll take a break here. We'll be right back after these commercials.